Hi, and welcome to the next episode of the Naria Lemaire Show. And today we are going to talk a little bit about the low FODMAP diet and if it's something that we should stick to forever or just a short period of time. Now, if you are new, my name is Naria and I'm a registered dietitian that loves to talk about gut health. So let's talk about the low FODMAP. Is it a forever thing? No. Now, I will say I've had so many different clients, and a lot of them, when they initially come to me, say, I've been on the low FODMAP for years, and even more, some of them on a low FODMAP and on a gluten-free diet. This is a no for the long term, especially when you think about like quality of life. You should be able to enjoy your foods, but you want to be very respectful and mindful of what your body needs. So we're going to go back to, we need this guy to be happy. And if he's not happy, if there's inflammation, if there's pain, if there's bloating, if there's distension, that's your body talking to you. It's saying, hey, something is wrong. I can't handle certain foods. So maybe hold your horses until I can. So what are the phases of the low FODMAP diet? The first phase is, let's do some restriction. So for usually with my clients, about 4 to 6 weeks, we will follow what's called the low FODMAP diet. So with the FODMAPs, we want to make sure to see and to find out which ones the person can tolerate. Maybe it's just one of them, maybe it's two of them together, maybe it's a certain portions. But during this time, we get to see, hey, what's the problem? So what happens when these individuals consume low FODMAPs? Let's kind of get a little visual here. Now, we're going to get a little bit dry here. I'm not an artist, but this will get the point across. Now, when you eat something, it's going to go down the esophagus into the stomach. Now, we know that in the stomach, that's where all the acid is and so forth. But what happens after the stomach, it goes into the small intestine. There's a lot that happens here, but with these low FODMAP foods, they will start to attract some fluid here. So because of that, some individuals may have some type of bloating. But what happens after? After they go to the small intestine, they go into the large intestine. When they get into here, the bacteria will start to say, hey, here are the FODMAPs. Let's start to use them. They start to produce gas. And then you have the distension, very uncomfortable. With individuals who have IBS, their sensitivity from the gut to the brain connection is a lot more, it's higher than individuals who don't have the condition. So what does that mean? It means that not only will they have pain, but the pain will be more intense than someone who just has regular bloating or distension. So with that, we have to say, hey, these low FODMAP foods, we have to reduce them for a few weeks to kind of even everything out, to reduce those symptoms, to control everything, and to give. Now, after we give the body a break, what do? We want to say, hey, let's start to see what can we do now? We know kind of like the trigger foods. Now we have to play around to say, do we need to continue to restrict them? What's the portion? What's happening in the gut? And what are we going to do to, again, heal the gut? Because working with us, it's not just, let me show you how to do the low FODMAP diet, but it's, we need to work on really healing that gut. Phase 2, let's start to reintroduce some foods. That'll occur for a few weeks until we kind of get an understanding of what the body can tolerate. Now, let's say during this stage, in the last stage, there are certain foods that the individual can't tolerate. It doesn't mean it's forever. It just means your body still is working on healing. So you continue to take these foods away for a few more weeks. And that's where you start to say, hey, when can I introduce it? In a few weeks, in a few months, and so forth. With individuals who are following a gluten-free diet and a low FODMAP diet, a lot of the times they attribute these symptoms to the gluten. But in reality, it's most likely something that has a FODMAP or a higher FODMAP ingredient in that product, not necessarily the gluten. I will say it is possible, but the probability is so small. It would be under 5%. So you want to be very mindful and say, hey, this should not be a forever, but what can I do to, of course, while we're working on these, we always have to be mindful, because the goal, part of the problem with following a low FODMAP diet is that it's a pretty low fiber meal or a lifestyle. And what do we know? We know that to feed the good bacteria in our gut, we need that fiber that I'm always talking about. So part of that is, okay, we can't follow it forever because we do need that fiber, but not all fibers are made the same, like a recent post I just did. You have gel forming, some are bulk forming. You want to be mindful of what's the fiber, what is it going to do, where is it going to do it, and how much can I tolerate it, right? So because of that, it's a whole process. It's not just, oh, I can't tolerate any fiber. That's not the conclusion here. Is there's just certain fibers you have to be mindful of and gradually ease up to get your body used to these foods. Even with regular people, when they're working on increasing their fiber intake, they start to get a little bloated. One of the biggest things I hear with everyone, including non-IBSers, is I tried psyllium husk and I had a lot of bloating, constipation, so I stopped. The problem was not the fiber. It was just that the body wasn't used to processing that much fiber. It's kind of like, think about eating fiber causes the body to work. And if the body's been in a lazy state for a while and it all of a sudden gets more work, it's not going to be so excited about it. So you may have some bloating and constipation. Usually the bodies will adjust in about 3 to 5 days. I always tell individuals to give it about 3 to 5 days. With someone who's working on a low FODMAP diet, has IBS, we may kind of play around with these numbers a little bit more because we know there's actually a medical condition compared to someone who may just have constipation. So being very mindful that there's certain things that may happen with fiber, but you have to be mindful of the type of fiber, the amount of fiber, and how you're spreading it throughout your day. If you're an individual that's having 10 grams of fiber a day and you want to jump to 30, definitely not overnight. This goes for every individual out there. You gradually have to ease your fiber to, let's say, 5 grams a meal to 6 to 7 until you get comfortable, so that way you don't have. Now, a big problem with individuals with IBS is self-diagnosing, self-limiting foods, not following up with the dietitian, and a lot of weight loss. This is one of the biggest things. When individuals have gut problems, I see that they go on Google, they go and self-diagnose, they go on random areas, and they'll say, hey, this said I can't eat this said I should limit this, so I'm gonna do it and trust Google, instead of working with a registered dietitian who's literally studied this for years. And the problem with that is, it's gonna be very limiting, it's gonna be very stressful, and again, like I mentioned so much, it's not only going to affect you, but it's going to affect the ones around you. If you have a lot of limitations, it's going to affect when you go out to eat with your family, when you go out on holidays and so forth. I can't have this, I can't have that. I'm just going to sit here and drink some water. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I've been in that situation before, to where for whatever reason I was limiting certain foods and I didn't want to eat what my family or my friends were eating, so I would just order something basic, an appetizer, maybe even water, and it's not the funnest experience. Now, because of that, I encourage everyone to work with a registered dietitian who specializes in your problem. So if you're having issues with your gut, let's say gastritis, IBS, work with a dietitian that deals with these things. Avoid going on Google. Google is not going to give you what you need. And part of that is because it's going to give you too much information, both correct and incorrect information, and you're not going to know how to utilize it in your own special, unique life. Working with someone one-on-one helps you really understand how that actually fits in. When we think about a low FODMAP diet, it is not a forever diet. It's only a diet to help you heal your gut, to help you understand what your body is able to tolerate, what foods you're able to consume. But either way, it's not long-term, especially a low FODMAP diet with a gluten-free diet in combination. It is extremely rare I ever have someone on those two diets. And if I do, it's only during the healing process while we're working on them to work to heal their gut. The goal is always to include more food. Our goal as dietitians is not to just remove. We're not the food police. We really want you to enjoy food. That's a big part of life. And when we think about medical conditions, it's gut specifically, because that's what we focus on. It is very rare that I have anyone on a certain diet forever. I would say I haven't done that till this day. I always work on gradually easing foods back in, and we've always been successful. Even for those individuals who have been on a low FODMAP for years or a gluten-free diet for years, we've been able to add back foods. And when we do a follow-up in about 6 months, or they'll just send me a random text, it's always, I'm glad I took the time to really understand my body, work with you one-on-one, because now I can enjoy more foods that I maybe haven't had for 5+ years. So guys, low FODMAP, it should not be forever for most individuals. If you feel you are one of those individuals that you need the low FODMAP forever, talk to a dietitian. Talk to a dietitian that specializes in the gut, specifically with IBS, the low FODMAP. That way they can walk you through it and try to add foods back. Now, if you have any questions on the low FODMAP diet, if you're looking for one-on-one support, definitely reach out to us. You can either send us an email at narialamaire@gmail.com or give us a call or a text at 619-245-9336. Till next time, bye friends.